everyone, Sandra here, and today we are making chicken jerky. Now, when I get a really good deal on chicken breast, I sometimes like to make chicken jerky simply because it's just a nice change from beef. But there's a couple of things you may want to know about using chicken in place of beef with jerky. One of them is that it tends to dry out quicker than beef, so you have to keep an eye on it during the dehydrating process because it will dry out sometimes hours ahead of the beef. And I think that's because there's so little fat in it, but it also absorbs your marinade a lot quicker as well. So you don't have to marinate it nearly as long as you would beef. So let's do something simple, something that's good and easy. In this cup here, I have 3/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce. I like Worcestershire because it has soy sauce in it, but it has other spices too, and it just gives a really nice flavor. And then to that, I'm going to add just, a couple of pinches of red pepper flakes. Well, maybe 3. Give it a little kick. Then I am going to add about a teaspoon of onion powder. As you can see, I'm measuring precisely. And then some garlic powder, about the same amount. I like a lot of garlic, can you tell? So we're just going to swirl that around. It mixes pretty well all by itself. And we're going to get our chicken in our marinade container here. Now, just pile it all in there. Make sure to wash your hands when you're done. I like to use only one hand when I'm dealing with poultry, so the other one stays somewhat uncontaminated. I'm just going to spread this around a little more evenly. And then I'm going to pour my marinade on. Now this is about 1.5 pounds of chicken breast. You can make however much you want. Just want to make sure to make enough marinade, so adjust your measurements accordingly. Now it doesn't have to be completely covered, you know, the marinade. You just want to make sure there's a good amount in there so it can soak it all up. If you're in a hurry, this is doable in about a half hour, 45 minutes. But it would probably be best if you could marinate it for about 2 hours. You can go longer than that, of course, but if you're in a hurry, less time is doable. Okay. Shake it around in there. Now just put this in your fridge for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and then we'll get back to the dehydrating process. Alright, it's been about 3 hours, so we're going to get our chicken out of the marinade and into the dehydrator. I no longer have my Excalibur, but you can use just about any dehydrator to make jerky. And so what I'm going to, there's several layers here, so I'm going to start with the bottom one here. And when you're using a dehydrator like this, the heater is in the bottom. Some of them have them in the top, heaters and fans and whatever. And when you have one like that, as opposed to the Excalibur, you normally will have to rotate your trays. So I'm just going to get these out and try and shake off the excess. Now when you're cutting the meat for your jerky, the size really doesn't matter. I made some of these longer and some of them shorter. What matters is the thickness. You want to get your chicken pieces around the same thickness, as close as you can get them, because you hopefully want them to all dry out at around the same time. So this is all you got to do, is shake that excess off and get them on there. Now with this, I'm probably going to start checking it at 1.5 to 2 hours because I have to rotate the trays. If you have a bigger, nicer dehydrator like the Excalibur where the fan and the heat is coming, it comes from the back and it hits all of the trays at once. I didn't rotate my trays in that, so you may not have to check it for that at all. But I would say starting at 3 hours, you're going to want to check to see how dry everything is getting. Because some of your smaller pieces are going to dry out quicker, obviously, than your larger pieces, or due to the thickness. And one other thing I wanted to mention, you can use whatever spices you want in this. The only thing I caution on is using stuff like, seasoning salt, garlic salt, celery salt. Those are all really good and they'll add a nice flavor. You just have to be careful with the salt. There's a lot of salt in the Worcestershire sauce, and the salt will help it to dry out quicker, but it concentrates as the jerky becomes ready. So you could end up having overly salty jerky, and I'm sure that's not what you're looking to have. So like I said, I just caution you on how much to use. Well, when I check it for the first time, I will get back with you guys. Okay, it's only been about 1.5 hours, and this is the chicken on the second level, and it's already drying pretty well. I mean, it's still got a long ways to go, but that's what I mean with checking it fairly often, especially if you have a really good dehydrator, because it'll dry out on you fairly quick, and you don't want crunchy jerky. You want that nice chewy kind, so keep an eye on it. Okay, well, this finished up late last night, but it turned out pretty well. But one thing I wanted to mention to you guys is shortly after I put it in the dehydrator, my son asked me if I could make it a little more spicy because he was going to probably be the main person eating it. And he had said that at one point in time he had a buffalo chicken jerky. So I said, well, let's give that a try. So I took it out and I dipped it into Tabasco sauce, which now guarantees he will be the only one eating it. But it turned out pretty well and he really likes it. So anyhow, go ahead and make yourself some chicken jerky. I think you'll really enjoy it. Just make sure to keep an eye on it while it's drying. So thumbs up the video if you liked it. Subscribe, that would be awesome of you. It was nice talking to you. And you take care.